would like to say that John Muir College is actually the best college at UCSD, and it's not actually me saying it. It's like most of the student body agrees to it because Muir College is supposed to have the least number of GE requirements and the most flexibility in terms of the options that you can sort of take. All the other colleges have like either more GEs than Muir College, or they're sort of like more hard, like they're sort of like harder and stuff like that. But in Muir College, in my particular case, it was just a stroke of luck. Like I still remember when I was applying to UCSD and I was choosing between these residential colleges because I had to mention it. I had to mention it on the UC application. I remember like Ritu ma'am like telling me that, hey, just sort of like quickly research about these colleges to just sort of like see which of these are like STEM oriented and stuff like that. And it was a sheer stroke of luck that I indicated Muir College as my first preference because most of the student body does that, around 30% or something like that. And if you don't indicate Muir College as your first preference, you're not going to get into that college. And just because of the academic flexibility that Muir College offers, not only in terms of general education requirements, but also the social scene at Muir College, because it's supposed to be the most social college in terms of like all kinds of events that are sort of happening, all kinds of events where you can sort of like meet people, make new friends and stuff like that. It was the perfect decision for me. And to be very honest, it was a stroke of luck. So.
What about other colleges? Like, I know you love Muir College, but what is the system like, and what is the new college? Is it up and
Sure.
running?
So with other colleges, so the way that these residential colleges work is that there can be people of any kind of a major, of like any sorts of majors that can be affiliated to any of these colleges, like I was to Muir College. Each of these colleges sort of differ in their sort of like philosophy towards how they want to sort of like structure the college experience in terms of general education requirements, in terms of like how the college sort of like looks like in general, in terms of the kinds of events that they sort of have, in terms of anything that's like unique about them, in terms of like their particular close-knit communities. They're essentially sort of like close-knit communities in a large public university. And with other colleges, so first, yeah, so like I just told you, their general education requirements are relatively harder most of the time compared to Muir. If you are affiliated with particular colleges such as Revelle College, I heard they have a lot of like bio-oriented sort of general education requirements. If you are affiliated to ERC, which is Eleanor Roosevelt College, they have a pretty hard writing sequence is what I heard. And so each of these colleges have kind of like their own sort of like details or sort of like their own things that students sort of like go through. But they're all kind of like different kinds of like college experiences as well. Like ERC is the most diverse. Warren, for example, is the most STEM heavy, for example. It has a lot of like people in STEM majors. So
Yeah, these are great tips for listeners who are going to be applying. So thanks for sharing. About moving majors from structural engineering to data science eventually, how does it work, and what are the requirements which overlapped and things that you had to do sort of
sure.
fresh?
So a little bit of a very quick context here. Technically, I did not apply to structural engineering major at UCSD. Initially, I had applied for engineering sciences because of the typical Indian mentality that, hey, I want to do engineering, but don't know which kind. I was accepted to engineering sciences, and 10 days later, they canceled that major for some reason. And because engineering sciences was technically in the structural and materials engineering department of the School of Engineering, that was the reason why I got structural engineering. I didn't really know a lot about the field. I tried to research, but I also saw that UCSD actually has amazing opportunities in structural engineering as well. UCSD has the largest and most active structural testing facility in the world, and they have the world's largest outdoor shake table in the world as well. That's like related to sort of like earthquake engineering and stuff like that. So when I came to college as a structural engineering major, so I sort of took the first class in it as well, and the opportunities are pretty good in structural engineering as well. I also ended up performing well in the course, but the thing was that I did not see myself becoming a structural engineer. I did not see myself studying that major and then becoming something else or something like that. I wanted my major to sort of be more indicative of my personal interest and like what I can potentially do after I graduate. So I was really passionate about math as a subject since my high school. So I wanted something that revolves around it in a pretty good way, but also sort of has like more demand and sort of like what I can sort of like do in the industry. I boiled it out to two options, like Math CS, which is a joint degree in mathematics and computer science, and data science. Data science was a new major that was released at that time. I had received an email about it from the university. I tried to research about it, and like the field seemed like pretty like hot and like upcoming and stuff like that, and sort of like pretty emerging. the way that I basically just sort of like contemplate changing my majors with all the options that I had was that in large public universities, you probably need like a good GPA to get in their screening courses. So most of the majors I wanted to get in were capped. For example, data science, because it was a new major, was actually uncapped. I still had a variety of options to potentially choose from, but then I spoke with a lot of upperclassmen, college advisors, recruiters, professors, and ultimately made the decision to get into data science after I got to know about like their perspectives and recommendations, and when I got to learn in online
Super.
courses,
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like that.
great. I'm glad it's working out for you. As a junior now, reflecting back, I think there'll be so many more experiences you've had with data science internships and this and that. But let's get to know a little bit more about data science and how it's taught at UCSD. What are the different requirements, tracks, and not just the academics, but the whole industry interface, if you will. So yeah, go ahead, brag about
Sure.
your school.
Sure, of course. Yeah, broad question. So first up, like there's no industry consensus on the definition of data science. Probably the broadest definition that I can just say is that it's the science of data, like anything that has anything to do with data and stuff like that. All through sort of like structuring it, cleaning it, analyzing it, all sorts of things. So the data science major, of course, is a new major that got started when I was a freshman. And that was basically because one of the UCSD alumni, Tanir Halijiolu, had donated $75 million to UCSD, and that person was also the original operations engineer at Facebook in the early days of Facebook. And so he donated $75 million to UCSD, and then UCSD sort of started a new institute called HDSI, or Halijiolu Data Science Institute. And then under that, the data science major sort of like also came into existence. It was jointly administered by the Data Science Institute and the Computer Science and Engineering Department of the School of Engineering. And the major, I personally believe, first of all, it's rather specialized. It's not a general degree like a computer science. It's not a general computer science major. The coursework is relatively specialized. Most of the coursework that students deal with, or like I dealt with, was either in the data science department. Like actually there were DSE oriented courses specifically made for the major. So I would take data science courses or math courses or CSE courses. And even in math and CSE courses, they would rather be more tailored towards the data science major, and the coursework would be rather specialized. Towards the upper division curriculum, most of the courses are also sort of like pretty much in line with grad level coursework and stuff like that as well. For the industry perspective that you were asking me, I would definitely say that there are a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of great research happening on campus as well. They also have like industry representatives, and they're also sort of like trying to make efforts to get more people in, to have like career fairs, to have like information sessions, and we had a bunch of them from like all sorts of companies, large and small. We also had particular career fairs, particularly tailored to data science majors. So there's a lot of opportunities to grab, not only the
Fantastic.
university, but also in terms of industry.
So, what are the opportunities that you grabbed, and also let viewers and listeners know about the internships that you landed,
Mm-hmm.
and where are you headed next?
Sure, of course. So, so in the winter quarter of my freshman year, and first of all, UCSD follows a quarter system in case a person listening to this podcast doesn't know. So there's like 3 quarters in an academic year. In the second quarter of my freshman year, I joined a startup called Metrum Data, which is kind of like an analytics focused startup with kind of like a data science role. So I would be dealing with a lot of like open source social media data to sort of like make sense out of it, to sort of like build like different kinds of models to detect different kinds of things, and provide niche applications and insights. So that was my first technical experience that I got because I knew a friend that was working in that startup, and he was willing to refer me. And with that experience, I definitely got to learn a lot, not just about like data science, but also sort of about like coding in general and data science and the entire process of like cleaning data, analyzing data, building machine learning models, and so on and so forth. In the fall quarter of after my freshman year, I also got to intern at Fidelity International as a data science intern as well, where I worked with their analytics team. In my sophomore year, then I also tried to get into some research opportunities, and I'm working along the intersections of like machine learning and systems-oriented research at UCSD's Advanced Data Analytics Lab. Following these experiences, I wanted to get even more industry experiences, and I also was a data scientist intern at PwC. And following that, I actually got into a master's level data scientist internship program at Hewlett Packard as an undergraduate.